Hey humans, welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn. I'm going to read to you. We're going to finish reading chapter 19. We're on part 3. Frankenstein has refused to create a second creature. He's literally knocking on death's door. He's just like waving his fanny back and forth in front of a lion and asking to be bit because he is being silly. I don't support creating another creature like that because, you know, you put it into a world where it's going to be forcibly subjected and hated. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, but he's in a position that he's in quite the predicament. I don't know where this is going. I don't know what he's gonna do. What is he just? Because we know he's alive. He's telling this fucking story. But anyway, between 2 and 3 in the morning, the moon rose, and I then, putting my basket aboard a little skiff, sailed out about 4 miles from the shore. The scene was perfectly solitary. A few boats were returning toward land, but I sailed away from them. I felt as if I was about the commission of a dreadful crime, and avoided with shuddering anxiety any encounter with my fellow creatures. At one time, the moon, which had before been clear, was suddenly outspread by a thick cloud, and I took advantage of the moment of darkness and cast my basket into the sea. I listened to the gurgling sound as it sunk and then sailed away from the spot. The sky became clouded, but the air was pure, although chilled by the northeast breeze that was then rising. But it refreshed me and filled me with such agreeable sensations that I resolved to prolong my stay on the water, and, fixing the rudder in a direct position, stretched myself at the bottom of the boat. Clouds hid the moon. Everything was obscure, and I heard only the sound of the boat as its keel cut through the waves. The murmur lulled me, and in a short time I slept soundly. I do not know how long I remained in this situation, but when I awoke I found that the sun had already mounted considerably. The wind was high, and the waves continually threatened safety. The waves continually threatened the safety of my little skiff. I found that the wind was northeast and must have driven me far from the coast from which I had embarked. I endeavored to change my course, but quickly found that if I again made the attempt, the boat would be instantly filled with water. Thus situated, my only resource was to drive before the wind. I confess that I felt a few sensations of terror. I had no compass with me, and was so little acquainted with the geography of this part of the world that the sun was of little benefit to me. I might be driven into the wild Atlantic and feel all the tortures of starvation, or be swallowed up in the immeasurable waters that roared and buffeted around me. I had already been out many hours and felt the torment of a burning thirst, a prelude to my other sufferings. I looked on the heavens, which were covered by clouds that flew before the wind, only to be replaced by others. I looked upon the sea. It was to be my grave. "Fiend," I exclaimed, "your task is already fulfilled." I thought of Elizabeth and my father, and of Clerval, and sunk into a reverie so despairing and frightful that even now, when the scene is on the point of closing before me forever, I shuddered to reflect on it. Some hours passed thus, but by degree, as the sun declined toward the horizon, the wind died away into a gentle breeze, and the sea became free from breakers. but these gave place to a heavy swell. I felt sick and hardly able to hold the rudder, when suddenly I saw a line of high land towards the south. Although spent as I was by fatigue and the dreadful suspense I endured for several hours, this sudden certainty of life rushed like a flood of warm joy to my heart, and tears gushed from my eyes. Jeepers creepers. I don't know what's wrong with me. How mutable are our feelings, and how strange is that clinging love we have of life, and even the excessive misery. I constructed another sail with a part of my dress, eagerly steered my course toward the land. I had a wild and rocky appearance, but as I approached nearer, I easily perceived the traces of cultivation. I saw vessels near the shore and found myself suddenly transported back to the neighborhood of civilized man. I eagerly traced the windings of the land and hailed a steeple, which I at length saw issuing from behind a small promontory. As I was in a state of extreme debility, I resolved to sail directly toward the town as a place where I could most easily procure nourishment. Fortunately, I had money with me. As I turned the promontory, I perceived a small, neat town in a good harbor, which I entered, my heart bounding with joy at my most unexpected escape. As I was occupied in fixing the boat and arranging the sails, several people crowded toward the spot. They seemed very much surprised at my appearance, but instead of offering me any assistance, whispered together with gestures that at any other time might have produced in me a slight sensation of alarm. As it was, I merely remarked that they spoke English, and I therefore, addressing them in that language, "My good friends," said I, "will you be so kind as to tell me the name of this town and inform me where I am?" "You may know that soon enough," replied a man with a gruff voice. Maybe you are come to a place that will not prove much to your taste. But you will not be consulted as to your quarters, I promise you." I was exceedingly surprised on receiving so rude an answer from a stranger. And I was also disconcerted on perceiving the frowning and angry countenance of his companions. Why do you answer me so roughly?" I replied. "Surely it is not the custom of Englishmen to receive strangers so inhospitably." "I do not know," said the man, what the custom of the Englishmen may be, but it is the custom of the Irish to hate villains." What? While the strange dialogue continued, I perceived the crowd rapidly increase. Their faces expressed a mixture of curiosity and anger, which annoyed and in some degree alarmed me. I inquired the way to the inn, but no one replied. I then moved forward, and a murmuring sound arose from the crowd as they followed and surrounded me. With an ill-looking man approaching, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Come, sir, you must follow me to Mr. Kerwin's to give an account of yourself." Who is Mr. Kerwin? Why am I to give him an account of myself? Is not this a free country? I serve free enough for honest folk. Mr. Kerwin is a magistrate, and you are to give an account of the death of a gentleman who was found murdered here last night. This answer startled me, but I presently recovered myself. I was innocent. That could easily be proved. Accordingly, I followed my conductor in silence and was led to one of the best houses in town. I was ready to sink from fatigue and hunger, but being surrounded by a crowd, I thought it politic. It's not politic, it's politic, to rouse all my strength, that no physical debility might be construed into apprehension or conscious guilt. Jeepers. Little did I then expect the calamity that was in a few moments to overwhelm me and extinguish in horror and despair all fear of ignominy and death. I must pause here, for it requires all my fatigue to recall the memory of the frightful events while I am about to relate in proper detail to my recollection. Well, that was it. He is pausing here. Pause. So we shall pause. Well, that was chapter 19. What a great chapter. A little long, but a lot's happened. It was like, I don't know, man. He was going to build a creature, and then he stopped, and he destroyed it, and he's like, fuck that shit. What am I about to do? I can't do this. Like, it's against my morals. If I did it, I wouldn't be able to take it back. I can't take the first one back. Even though, he's got to just not do it, right? So, but and then he's like, confronts the monster, and now he's back in town, and now someone has died. And we all know who it is. We all know. With the foreshadowing and the preludes and, gosh. Well, if you wish for me to keep reading, please check out some more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe. And, write some comments down below and we'll be friends, I promise. Because we already are. We really are. Friendship is, it's like that. Friends.